This is a U.S. warship, and its focus for the world's attention this morning because the aircraft carrier USS Gerald Ford
to sink a few alleged drug smuggling boats. The target could be Venezuela. President Trump calls its authoritarian president, Nicolas Maduro, a narco-terrorist.
It absolutely is. So on the surface, this appears to be a classic case of saber rattling. Venezuela responding to the arrival of that USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier into the region.
The most advanced U.S. carrier just slid into Southern Command. But Colombia just paused intel sharing. That's a knife to the Navy's censor net. Today, we break down how a 100,000-ton flagship and a wall of destroyers try to replace human eyes with steel and radar. What do you trade when allies go silent? Tempo, risk, or results? Stay with me and you'll see the real mission. Filling a critical intelligence gap while boat strikes keep popping off along the lanes. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. Costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video. A carrier strike group can flood the Caribbean with sensors. But can it replace the street-level eyes Colombia just pulled offline? The shift is real. The Ford slides under Southern Command just as Colombia pauses intel sharing, and a major artery of human reporting goes cold. Those tips cued flights, cutters, and quiet boardings hours before a hull crossed a horizon. Now the Navy must hunt without the whisper that points to the right wave.
With its own show of force, President Nicolas Maduro ordering a massive troop deployment, nearly 200,000 soldiers, as the country is on high alert, and he says Venezuela is ready.
To sink a few alleged drug smuggling boats. The target could be Venezuela. President Trump calls its authoritarian president, Nicolas Maduro, a narco-terrorist.
Is sailing with 3 more warships and dozens of warplanes closer to within striking distance of Venezuela.
The mission reads counter-narcotics and deterrence, but the sharpest target data has lived in allied feeds and local networks, not the skin of a ship. You can paint the sea. You still need someone to say which spec matters. Why Colombia's networks matter is simple. Informants flag loads before they leave the tree line. Shore-based SIGINT hears sat phones and push-to-talk bursts. Police task forces map routes from jungle trails to river mouths to mother ships. Strip that out and the warning dies at the source. U.S. interdiction runs on multi-nation fusion, watch floors that blend call intercepts, coastal patrol notes, and air tracks into a queue. When a partner steps back, the loop slows. Missed cues multiply, so the Ford group tries to brute force the gap. E-2D Hawkeyes run long-range control and sniff low flyers. Escorts cover with modern radars and data links that feed the picture. P-8 Poseidons draw wide arcs over sea lanes. MQ-9s or smaller persistent ISR push from friendly runways when allowed. Is coverage by volume. Behind that sits a layered kill chain. Space-based maritime awareness, AIS anomaly flags, radar satellites that see through weather, and destroyers weaving tracks with high-end arrays. It works on big ships and sloppy runners. Low go-fasts and semi-subs still slip unless a human tip nails the time and cove. A dockworker's text is instant and precise. A carrier's 24/7 orbit is constant and blunt. To close the gap, the Navy can surge, but it burns fuel, flight hours, and crew endurance to keep the pressure while the HUMINT well runs dry. So what makes this group the sharpest blade off Venezuela, and how does that change deterrence math for you? If this is more than drug war, what signal does a next-gen carrier send when it parks within reach of Venezuela? And what signal did Colombia just send back?
This is a U.S. warship, and its focus for the world's attention this morning because the aircraft carrier USS Gerald Ford. Willie Lowry joins us now from Washington with more on this. So, Willie, the Trump administration says this is all about combating.
The Pentagon today announced the USS Gerald Ford arrived in the Latin American region, part of President Trump's war on drug cartels.
The Ford group arrives as a flexible hammer you can swing fast. The air wing hunts, watches, and, if needed, strikes. Aegis destroyers form the shield, guarding the airspace and the fleet. An amphibious unit brings Marines who can move ashore, stabilize a crisis, or pull people out under pressure. It's a presence with options, day one. The line says narcoterrorism. The scale reads deterrence by presence. That scale carries weight. Partners read it, rivals read it, and sometimes both blink. Push hard and you risk partners stepping back. Ease off and targets think the window is open. For signaling, a few traits matter most. Sortie surge lets the ship throw more jets, more often, keeping orbits tight and response times short. Electronic warfare suites map the airwaves, tagging who talks and where. The command and control core links ships, aircraft, and regional units so the network moves as one within hours, not days. You see, decide, and act faster than the rumor mill. There have been reported strikes that rattled networks in recent months. The cost also showed up fast. A key ally pauses intel sharing, and Venezuela flips more switches on defense. U.S. planners now balance pressure with escalation control, holding some cards while showing others. Those 2,500 Marines matter. They bring crisis response, non-combatant evacuation, and maritime interdiction teams that board clean and fast. Their visible readiness blunts regime spin and steadies partners who still cooperate. It's leverage that doesn't require a runway. With Colombia's feeds quiet, targeting shifts. You lean harder on electronic support, radar tracks, and pattern of life from air and space. That means more sorties and longer orbits.
It absolutely is. So on the surface, this appears to be a classic case of saber rattling. Venezuela responding to the arrival of that USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier into the region.
It's the latest move in an increasingly aggressive posture that the White House is taking towards the Venezuelan regime. Drug traffickers, but it's naturally being met with a lot of resistance and some strong response from Venezuela. What are you seeing?
But less precision without a local cue at the dock. So what's your move when allies go quiet? Do you dial up tempo to keep the flag seen? Or bank flight hours for the long game? The Ford's arrival buys time and leverage. It does not buy trust. Rebuild the net while the steel keeps watch and be clear about what you trade first, tempo, risk, or results. Comment your choice below. Power blankets water. It doesn't replace a whisper at a pier. A carrier buys hours, sometimes days. A relationship buys the first minute that matters. You win targeting with trust, then you close with speed, steel, and a clean boarding ladder. If you want deep, no-nonsense breakdowns of how hardware meets politics at sea, subscribe and tell me, what do you trade first when the intel goes dark? Tempo, risk, or results? Comment your choice below. Subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict. The Ford is here. The message is sent. The next move is rebuilding the net.